Hi, Mindscapers. I am here to talk with you about the advantages of expanding your consciousness and what exactly does that even mean. Um, it's not new age. Hate when people say that. There's really nothing new under the sun. Everything has already been said, everything has already been done. When we see something we think is new, it's usually something old rearranged, right? Nothing's new. So, what I'm going to do is just kind of explain some things because I think a lot of times people don't realize that when we're talking about expanding consciousness, we're basically talking about just connecting to our larger self. Because when you think of God, the creator of all things, source, the infinite power that we have sprung from, we are that. We are a part of that. We have that in us, right? And when our parents birth us, we then birth our children, and then our children then create their children, and creation goes on and on and on. It doesn't just stop with the creator. The created are now creators who make more of the created, who become creators and make more of the created, who become creators. It just goes on and on and on. We are creators. This planet could not have evolved or moved forward had it not been for the creation of man perpetuating, that creative force. So when we talk of law of attraction, we're basically just speaking of being in the will of God. It's all. It's funny how if you just change the language to stuff, people think it's new, and it's not. It's the same thing that has just been handed down through the ages. Right? When you think of manifesting, we're basically just asking and receiving, right? And we just call it manifesting. But it's just asking ye shall receive. Basically, that's what manifesting is. When we talk about expanding our consciousness, what that really means is remembering who we are, right? Because we come here and we don't have limits in our minds because we don't know of any limits. We're not aware of any limits. And then when we get a little older and we get ready to do something, then our parents or our teachers or someone says, oh, you can't do that, but you can do this. You can't do that, but you can do this. Or we're born into some type of political construct that says that you can't worship like this, you have to worship like that. Or we're born into some ism that says you're this color and you can't do this. You can't drink from this fountain. You have to drink from that fountain, right? And then what happens is this huge consciousness that created us is fading into the background. and we just kind of forget where we came from, who we are. You know, we forget all of that, right? And we just go to sleep and we just give up. And we say, you know what? This is too much to fight. I'm just going to go to sleep. And whatever my parents say, that's what I'm going to do. Whatever the school system says, that's what I'm going to do. Whatever the justice system says, that's what I'm going to do. Whatever the religion I was born into says, that's what I'm going to do. And wherever I end up, that's where I'm supposed to be. Okay, well, some of us have more of a memory of our larger selves than others. And all throughout life, we're kind of like tapping into that, right? But we don't really tell anybody because it's kind of weird. How do we explain it? Nobody's going to really believe us. They're going to think we're weird. They're going to think we're just being contrary. They're going to think we're trying to start trouble. They're going to think we're trying to influence others. They're going to think that we're flirting with the occult. They're going to think that we are worshiping the devil. So I'm just not going to say anything. But you're different. You're awake. Right? Now, some people are on, their consciousness is expanding to different levels. Some people wake up to a level of injustice and they notice it. Some people don't notice injustice. Some people don't really want to notice it. They're just like, it's not happening. They're like really asleep. So then you have the people who realize that there's injustice, but they also realize that there is justice, right? They're kind of balancing things out. They're awakening to the fact that there is injustice, but we can overcome it with justice. Then you have some people that say, there's no justice, there's no injustice, there's just what we perceive as just and unjust, All of this is still in the mind you. All of this is still things that we're talking out and trying to figure out, and we have groups around it, we have discussions around it, and everybody wants to share their opinion. But then you get to a place where you're like, I don't know and I don't care. Right? Not in a human design kind of way, kind of even above that. For those of you who don't know what human design is, that's a whole nother video. But you just get to a point where you have an opinion, but you're not living in it. You have a sense of reality, but you're not living. You're in the world, but you're not of it. You're maneuvering in the world, but you're not really of it. Right? You see the world so that you can move around and survive in it. But there's this bigger consciousness. It's way bigger. Way, way, way bigger than the reality that you see in front of you. And that place is the place that's been prepared for you. Right? It's prepared for you. There are many mansions there, which metaphysically are many levels of consciousness there. That's the mansion, and there are many levels of consciousness there. Right? The portal to that bigger place is through the heart. Right? And as you allow the heart to um, lead you to this sanctuary, right? Where nothing can really get to it. It's that inner self. Everything just opens up. It just opens up, right? And you begin this journey that you can't explain to anybody, right? And you learn all of these cool things along the way that people think are weird. Some people think they're cool, you know, but you're not attached to them, right? So while everybody is fighting for justice and defending their God and, you know, arguing about their religion, you're pretty much like, none of that matters at the end of the day. It makes for decent conversation, but it's a really low vibration conversation. It doesn't matter because it's bigger, okay? So just to give you an idea of what it means to step into a more expanded consciousness, let's say that you're going on a business trip and you gotta fly. You're taking care of the details. You get your ticket, you go online, get your ticket, you gotta pack your bags, buy whatever you need to go in your bags, you gotta check in, you gotta get patted down, you gotta board the plane, you gotta listen to all of the instructions, gotta buckle up, and then there's this takeoff. And you're nervous. You're like, oh my goodness, that was pretty rough. Whoa, you know. Some people are nervous and some people are reading books and some people are listening to music and some people have their eyes closed and they're just enjoying it. And then you get way up and you look out your window and you're like, wow, that where I came from is so small, right? And you can feel that you're way away from your worries, right? You just muddled through all of that 3D stuff that has you exhausted. And at some point you can lay your head back, or, you know, you can appreciate the clouds. You're like, wow, look at that. That's amazing. You know, then you see the blue sky. For a moment, you're totally like oblivious to what's going on down there because you're in such a bigger place. And this big place is actually where all of the energy is. It's where all of the good stuff is. It's where all of the manifesting takes place. It's where our ideas become, you know, go up into this atmosphere and gather all of the tools it needs to come back down and actually plop down something in reality, right? In that little tiny world that we think is so big, right? So it's like, can't believe it. I remember years and years and years ago, I was going through a really rough time period in my relationship. And I remember going out to the park and I was looking down. And I was feeling down. Something said, look up. And I remember looking up and I fixated on this tree that just never seemed to end. I followed it until I could get to the last leaf. And then through the branches, I saw the sky. And it was so huge. And I was like, oh my God. And for a moment, I totally forgot all about my relationship issue. Totally. But when I came back down, there was a resolve there, right? I had awakened for a moment to my larger consciousness, to the God force within me, to my Creator, to my source, to my life-giving source that was so much bigger than me, much bigger than the little I, much bigger than the relationship, much bigger than my job, much bigger than my bills, much bigger than anything. And I was just like, whew, boy, that problem shrunk to there. It was so tiny. I literally, within 5 minutes, had shrunk my problem down, and I felt better than I had ever felt in a long time. My perspective changed. I changed. Something shifted in me. And not only did something shift in me in regards to what my idea was about the relationship, but from then I started seeking different knowledge, and I started attracting things to me that matched my vibrational level, right? My vibration had gone up. Therefore, I was attracting things to me of a higher vibration, higher vibrational knowledge, higher vibrational relationships, higher vibrational thoughts. Just change just like that. And that is how quickly you can change your reality when you step into your higher consciousness, right? Can you imagine what that person felt like when I went back and I said, okay, you're right. Sure. No problem. Whatever you say. They're like, okay, she's crazy. It confuses people. So when you do step into an expanded consciousness for people who are concrete, limited, one-dimensional, unevolved, afraid, suspicious, they'll be thrown off, which is okay, right? It's kind of funny when you see it happening. Have you noticed that people are never really thrown off when someone becomes addicted to drugs? It's like, oh, poor them. They're just going down the tubes. I can't believe that they let themselves go like that. When someone gets fat, oh my God, did you see her? Oh, she looked like a blimp, and she was just, I can't believe, they'll talk about it, but they're not really thrown off by it or anything like that. Somebody in an abusive relationship, oh my God, I can't believe she let him do that to her. I can't believe he lets her talk to him like that. Or I can't, oh my God, can you, whatever, you know. But when they run into someone who has expanded their consciousness, who's no longer attached to what they think, who's no longer attached to what's really going on out here, can tell you up and down what's going on out here, but not really attached to it. Someone who is not afraid of hell and fire and damnation, and you know, if you don't do this in this particular religion, you're not gonna see this particular life, and you're not gonna get this particular reward. When you're no longer run by any of that, and people run into you, they're afraid. Oh my God. Can you imagine? You're more of a threat than someone who is abused, neglected, addicted, even probably a murderer. You know, you're really a threat. They're confused. They're confused. But they're not confused because it's hard to figure out. They're confused because they're stuck. Right? And when you learn how to master your reality, and when you feel in charge, when you know how to handle yourself, when you know how to take your emotions and literally take charge of them, when you say something is going to happen, you're going to get a car, or you're going to get a house, or you're going to get something, and then it just appears and it happens. When you look at someone who bullies other people, and you look at them, and you're not afraid of them, and you are standing within your expanded consciousness, your higher self, your taller self, your bigger self, your self, your God self, and they cower down and they don't know why, you're a threat. You're a threat. And what it does is it wakes people up. And if you've ever been really sleepy and somebody comes and wakes you up, it's irritating. You don't want to wake up. The majority of the people don't want to wake up, right? They would rather think that there is something outside of them. They would rather think that there are people beneath them. They would rather think that, oh, poor Sally. You know, they can comprehend that. But when they see someone standing in their power, they don't know what it is, because it doesn't feel like the ego, so they can't fight it. So it takes them a minute, because when they try to fight it, it bounces back onto them, and they're like, whoa. Like if they try to punch it, they actually feel the punch. I've seen it. I'm not exaggerating. When you live in your God self, even when you're not at your best, but when you're aware of your God self, just being aware of it, that's what it means when it says no weapon formed against you shall prosper. That's what it means when you say you have the whole armor of God on. You stepped into your full conscious self. See what happens when you just change the words? It means the same thing. It's not New Age, right? So what happens is you get unstuck. You master your emotions, your reality. You manifest your desires easily. You outgrow relationships. You're alone sometimes, because sometimes people don't really know how to take you. People criticize you, and you're misunderstood a lot. You know, because one thing about it is the bigger the bigger your consciousness is, the more you expand your consciousness, the more in touch with your higher self you become, the more you part from the little I and get in touch with the big I, the more you get in touch with the Father in you, the more you get in touch with that Jesus consciousness, the God consciousness. I mean, you can go on and on. with what you want to call it. You can play with the words. It's a feeling, though. It's a feeling that a lot of people don't feel because they're afraid. Because if you notice, the bumpiest part of ascending in a plane is ascending, right? So when people feel that, even when you're on a roller coaster and you're going up that hill and you're jerking, oh my goodness, that's the scariest part. So when people come into your presence, they immediately begin to raise their vibration because they have to, because your vibration is raised. So they have to raise their vibration because they feel uncomfortable coming in with a low vibration. Oh, I'm coming in Candy's presence. I need to bring this up a little bit. That can be uncomfortable for some people. It can be relaxing for some people, right? I used to lower my vibration to be around certain people. I used to be like, I used to could just come off of meditating, studying, realizing something new, deep, profound, feeling really high, really good, not even thinking really about the craziness in the world. And I would know I'm getting ready to go into some places or a place where people are just regular, talking about regular shit. And I would immediately just kind of lower my vibration and sit there for a while. And occasionally people say, what are you thinking about? Why are you so quiet? And sometimes I can just jump right in and it's no big deal. But I do that for about an hour and then I leave. I still do that. That's why I drive. And I observe what's going on, have a good time, speak to people, and I leave. Right? Sometimes it can seem like a downside to expanding your consciousness, getting in touch with the God in you. But, if you're called to be peculiar people, that's going to make you peculiar. That's peculiar. And it's okay. But you can still relate. You don't want to be unrelatable. The only way to really expand your consciousness is through the heart. I remember when I used to be really apathetic and indifferent, and I thought I was going with the flow. But really what I was doing was I was just like, yeah, whatever. My heart wasn't open. It wasn't operating at its full capacity. Let's just say that. And that's what this is all about. That's what expanding your consciousness is all about. It's about operating from the heart at full capacity, having compassion for yourself and others, raising your vibration, being conscious of your thoughts, not really controlling them, but observing them. That's interesting. And letting it go and not being attached to it, right? Stuck. When people have their religious beliefs and ideas, it's culturally influenced upon them. That it was something that was taught to them, which is fine. That there's something beyond religion. And you just let them talk and enjoy the interaction, right? Because they may be talking with a certain level of stress about it. I can always tell where people are, the way that they defend things, a little stressed out, beat themselves up. Oh, we gotta do better. Oh, we need to do this, and oh, we need to do that. And if we don't do this, we're not gonna see the kingdom of heaven. And if we don't do so and so, we're not. It's very chore based. Gotta do a chore. When you're more evolved and you're more in touch with your higher self, it's kind of automatic, right? It's kind of automatic. You kind of automatically share, you kind of automatically give, kind of automatically love and give compassion, and you're not defending if somebody says, what you believe in is stupid. You're like, okay, okay, because you're up there. You're looking down at this stuff, and it's very small and minute, and you're very much in touch with something much bigger. This does not mean you're better. Don't get it twisted. It means your awareness is focused on a different thing. Okay? It means you're putting your awareness somewhere else. Okay? Sometimes you can give enough attention to some of this stuff here, and it's time to make a switch. Because really, you can operate down here. Or kids, when I say kids, I don't mean like on their soul and spirit, but getting them to school, helping them with their homework, making sure that they brush their teeth and do the things that they need to do. You can kind of do that on autopilot, right? When you go up, you start doing a little different type of work. You got this mastered down here. Let's go up here a little bit, see what's going on. You get up there and you start looking at what's going on down here, and you're like, that's not all that important, So you start working from the inside out. You start conserving your energy. You start being aware of your breath. You stop trying to be like everybody else. You feel comfortable pausing in your videos and taking deep breaths like I do, not worrying about what somebody thinks. And you mind your business. That's the big thing. I noticed that the more in touch I am with that sanctuary, that inner sanctuary, that place, the more in touch I am with that, the more I mind my business. That doesn't mean I can't help other people with their business. Doesn't mean I don't care about other people's business, but I'm minding my business. Handling myself. I'm handling myself. When you handle yourself and no one has to handle you, you're actually doing the world a favor, because 90% of our energy is wasted on managing other people. So when you find someone who can manage themselves, you better hang on to them, right? You hear women and men when they're getting in relationships, I need somebody who can handle me. No one can handle me. I handle myself. And handling myself, that means you handle yourself. If you don't know how to handle yourself, then you can't be in relationship with someone who knows how to handle themselves, because they're going to be so busy handling their shit, they're not going to try and control you. And if you're used to being controlled, told what to do, how to do it, and nagged and prodded and pushed and, oh, please, 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 you're not going to be happy with someone who's of a higher level consciousness awareness, right? Because you're going to feel like they don't love you, right? Because all of the other people that love you want to possess you, control you, run you, cry over you, worry you, and, They make sacrifices for you at their expense and lose their houses and their cars for you. Real stories. But someone who's in touch with their higher self is not going to do that, right? They're going to see you making a mistake. And they're going to say, I wouldn't do that if I were you. But if that's what you want to do, okay. And they're going to be detached, in love, and you're going to be lost and maybe lose something very good, right? So when you bump into someone who thinks like me, or who inspires you to do the same, that's a calling. That's a calling to God, right? Pay attention to that. Don't be afraid. Pay attention, right? It's not that people like us are independent. We're interdependent. We need people. We feel very deeply, but we handle our emotions. Does that mean we never come unhinged? Of course not, right? No, it does not mean that. Does it mean that we never get stressed out? No, doesn't mean that. It means that we see it happening, we're aware of it, and we've made a choice to either let it go and let it happen, or to pull it in. We're watching, we're aware, we're awake. When you meet someone that's awake, it can be very confusing because people who are awake can kind of seem a little bit inhumane or inhuman because they are in control of their emotions to a degree. But because we are human, we do have those emotions, and we do require understanding and support, like everybody else. Right? So someone who's in touch with their divine self is not supposed to have to be responsible for you. Right? We are not supposed to be responsible for other people in that way. Codependent. Put it that way. Because when you awaken and you're around a lot of people who are asleep, they depend on you to wake them up and tell them it's time to get up. Put your clothes on. Get your breakfast. Get in the car. Sure, I'll drive. Sure, I'll drop you off. Sure, I'll pick you up. This is what they expect you to do in their lives so that they can remain asleep and lazy. And when you're not fully awake, but you're awake enough to know, you get stuck in this codependency. And you try to think that you're supposed to help everybody because you still kind of have a little bit of guilt, which kills everything. And then you say, well, how did I end up in this situation? I'm supposed to be awake. Because you literally were codependent. You thought you had it all figured out, and you thought you could take on everybody. That's a big mistake of newly awakened people. Everybody makes it, right? So this is what it is like to be awakened. This is what it means when you're talking about expanding consciousness. When you talk about, just tapping into the bigger self. This is just a small snippet of it. So, if you're interested in doing that, you can definitely click on the link below, go to my website, send me a request, and I'll be glad to set something up with you to go further into detail about this. I also have a link to my book there. I also have a link to some of my latest activities, sip and paint, which I do. Um, but I hope that you were able to get a pretty good idea of what it means to expand your consciousness on a pretty common level, nothing huge. We'll save that for later. Until next time, reconstruct the world by reconstructing your mind. I know you can do it. Bye.